Thank you. It's good to see everybody here to hear a CPA talk. As we get started this morning, I'd like to pray for my son-in-law. Last night he was rushed to the hospital with stroke or heart attack-like symptoms. His left arm was numb, couldn't move it, his chest pains, he was slurring his speech, and my daughter's with him, of course, at the hospital, and we're not sure what's happened. They've run some CAT scans. So if you just lift him up, his name's TJ, stands for Trinity James. Anyways, I just wanted to kind of throw that out to everybody. By way of introduction, my name is Daniel Greene. That's Greene as in money. I'm a certified public accountant. I'm also a certified tax coach. It's this designation that only about 300 of us have in the nation. Basically, my business is showing people how to stop wasting money in taxes that they don't need to pay. I also do a lot of work in mergers and acquisitions, showing businesses how to get the best value for their money when they sell their business, or to buy a business for the cheapest. I'm involved in a lot of business ventures, investments, things of that nature. But first and foremost, I'm a husband. I'm a father of 3, a grandfather of 1. But more important than all of that, I'm a Christian business owner. And I want to talk about what that means today. What does it mean to be a Christian business owner? How many are business owners out there? Good, okay. So what does it mean to be a Christian business owner? Don't mean to put you on the spot, but...
that means you put God first in dealing with everybody.
Good, I like that. I like that definition. Usually I hear things like integrity. Go ahead.
You put him in the only place in your life.
Good, I like that. What it doesn't mean is to have a little fish on your business card or a cross. That doesn't mean you're a Christian business owner. Matter of fact, I don't have that on my business card. My business card has a picture of Benjamin Franklin, the same one that's on the $100 bill. With that, I get a lot of people asking me, do I love money? I talk about money a lot. Do I love money? And I hear things like, money is the root of all evil, which is not biblical. That's not what the Bible says. 1 Timothy 6:10 reads, for the love of money is the root of all evil, while which some coveted after, they have erred from the faith. So it's the love of money. I don't love money. I like it a lot, don't get me wrong. But I don't love money. I love the things that money buys. I mean, money bought me a really nice house. It's bought me a couple nice cars. It's bought me nice dinners. And if anybody knows me, I'm a huge foodie. My wife and I are huge foodies. It buys nice vacations, or as I tell my clients, workcations. We write those off. I like the things money buys, but I love the things that money doesn't buy. I mean, money bought me a nice house, but money doesn't make it a home. Money bought me a nice bed. Matter of fact, $5,000 for the Tempur-Pedic thing. But it doesn't buy me a good night's sleep. That's peace of mind buys me that. So I like the things money buys. I love the things money doesn't buy. I mean, money is important. I mean, it's not the most important thing, but it's right up there with oxygen. I mean, when you need it, you need it. Everything that we do in life costs money. I shouldn't say everything, but almost everything we do in life costs money. Jesus talked a great deal about money in the Bible, and that's what I want to talk about. I want to look at money from a biblical point of view and how it relates to me and what I do in my business. My ministry is my business. My business, I get to see a lot of people in different stages of life. Everything from a couple going through a divorce to a young individual starting a business and everything in between. I get to do a lot of counseling. I don't get paid for the counseling, that's not what I do, but I do that to help people, to show them how to live their life and run their business, because most of my clients are business owners. Run their business in a biblical way, in a Christian way. And what does that mean? My goal today is threefold. We're going to talk about what is a Christian business, kind of define that. Because I'm a tax savings guy, we're going to talk about a little bit of tax savings and kind of how that relates to biblical principles. And I want to leave you with some things to think about in how you deal with your employees, your customers, your business relations, and also your life in general. How does being a Christian affect your life in general? I'm not a pastor, so it's not going to be preachy, it's going to be more teachy. I'm a CPA, so I'm not really funny. And it's hard to, anybody that was here last week, to follow Yo Pal Hal. I mean, that guy's an amazing speaker. But let's start by looking at John 12:17. Jesus answered and said unto them, render to Caesar's the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. And they marveled at him. I mean, that's my goal. I want to talk about taxes and have people marvel at me. We're not to add to the Bible, but I kind of paraphrase that verse by saying, render to Caesar's the things that are Caesar's, but not one penny more, and use Caesar's rules to pay him the least amount possible. That's where my business comes in. But what is God's? And what is Caesar's? That's the real question. We all want to pay the least amount of taxes, have the most money for what we need to do, but what is God's? Is it 10% of the bottom line? Is it 10% of the top line? What is first fruits? How do we define that? Those are things we need to ask ourselves. I'm not going to stand here and preach and say you need to type 10% on the top line, the bottom line, because everybody's business, the first fruits are different. But what is that for you? How do you define that? I mean, I'm assuming that you tithe. Maybe I'm stepping on toes, and I'm sorry if I am. But that is something we have to look at. Have you looked in the Bible to see what the definition is? Do you know what the definition is? We all want to pay the least amount possible. But how do you deal with that? I mean, I get all the time people that come into my office and say, you know, just work the numbers for me. What they're saying is, lie and cheat for me so I pay the least amount of taxes. I mean, I have a funny saying, and maybe it's not so funny, but taxes make liars and cheats out of all of us. Is that true for you? See what the Bible says about that. Proverbs 11:1 says, a false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. What is a just weight? What does that mean? Being honest with people. I want to lighten it up a little bit. I want to show you how to save money. Okay? I want to throw that in just so I don't sound like a fire and brimstone preacher and put you on the hot seat. Tithing is my least favorite thing to talk about, but I address that with all my clients. Are you tithing? Why not? I approach my clients with the assumption that they're all Christians. If they're not, they'll tell me. I know some of them aren't, but I approach it in that respect. Okay, let's learn how to take advantage of our kids. Tax-wise, okay? Taxwise, how to take advantage of our kids. You run a business. Do you hire your kids in your business? You look at that and go, no, what can they do in my business? I don't know, but we can look at it and figure out what they can do. You're already funding their lifestyle. Why not take advantage of that legally? Again, nothing I'm saying here is not legal. And I'll show you the tax codes and the laws that show you can do it. But the IRS says you can pay your children $5,950. And they don't even have to report it or file a tax return. But your business can get a deduction for it. And you're looking at me going, what can my kids do in my business? I don't know, do you have a home office? Your kids can clean your home office. I'm sorry, I'm not going to use the word kids. My wife hates it. She says goats have kids, people have children. Your children can clean your home office. And you pay them $100 a week. Why $100 a week? Well, that's reasonable. You're going to pay Molly maids or a cleaning service that much to clean it. Why not your child? Well, my child's only 7 years old. Okay. Every day they can come down and dust and mop, vacuum, make sure you have paper in your home office, make sure the candy dish is full, whatever. But hire your children. Teach them about money. You give them that almost $6,000 a year, get a deduction for it. That's huge. $6,000 on a business that flows through your personal tax return is a savings of $1,000, $2,000, maybe $3,000. That's huge. That's a lifestyle changer. I will refer to things as lifestyle changers. $3,000 in your pocket can change your lifestyle. That's a nice weekend away with your spouse. That can change your lifestyle. That's how to take advantage of your children. And again, it's not taking advantage of them, it's using the tax code to them. But more importantly, everything that I'll talk about, what's the biblical principle of that? I mean, I'm a homeschooler, so a lot of the information that I project is how do we teach our children? Well, that's a great way to teach your children about money, about responsibility, about budgeting, things of that nature. That's why we do it. Obviously, I do it for the tax reasons as well. Okay. How about negotiations? Let's talk about some business principles and biblical business principles. Negotiations. Should we haggle for prices? I don't know. I hope you don't haggle with me for prices. But absolutely. The Bible says that we should bargain. Proverbs 20:14 says, it is bad, saith the buyer, meaning the price was bad. But in this situation, it's not a win-win bargaining, it's a win-lose, because the buyer goes away and says, hey, I got a great deal, and brags about what a good deal he got in this particular verse. But what is bad bargaining, or bargaining at all? What do you need to know at the end of that bargaining? Matthew 14:1 through 8, and it's a little bit long, so I'll talk about it. This is with Herod and his bad bargain, if you will. And it reads, at the season Herod the Tetrarch heard the report concerning Jesus, and said to his servants, this is John the Baptist. He is risen from the dead, and therefore do these powers work in him. For Herod had laid hold of John the Baptist, and bound him and put him in prison for the sake of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife. For John the Baptist said unto him, it is not lawful for thee to have her. And when he would put him to death, he feared the multitude because they considered him a prophet. But Herod's birthday came, and I hope you know the story. The daughter of Herodias danced in the midst and pleased Herod, whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatever she should ask for. And she, being put forward by her mother, said, give me the head of John the Baptist on a platter. Bad deal. Why did it happen? Well, he didn't know the ramifications. He didn't set limits to the deal. He did not negotiate properly. As a matter of fact, he said, I'd give you up to half of my kingdom. let's bring that home. Do we deal? Do we negotiate? Do we know how to negotiate in our business? What does that mean? And my favorite bad deal ever is Matthew 26:14-16. Then one of the 12, who was called Judas, went into the chief priests and said, "What are you willing to give me? And I will deliver him unto you," meaning Jesus. And they weighed unto him 30 pieces of silver. And from that time he sought opportunity to deliver him. Do you sell out? And at what level? At what level are you going to compromise your integrity? We all stand here and say, none. I'm not going to compromise my integrity. And I hope that's true. But in a recent survey, 4% of people would kill somebody for $5 million. That's huge, folks. That's integrity. That is really scary to me. $5 million sounds like a lot, but it's really not a lot of money. That's scary to me. That is society lack of integrity. What is it for you? I don't know. I'm hoping it's none. I hope none of us fall into that 4%. But what do we do when the mortgage needs to be paid and we don't have money? How do we compromise? That's what I want to challenge you with. Let's bring it back to some fun stuff and save some money. A home office. How many have a home office? Take a home office deduction, great. A lot of CPAs say don't take a home office deduction because it's kind of a red flag and you're already getting your mortgage interest and your property taxes. That extra 10% of space, the utility bills and all, it's really not that much money. But let's look at a home office. Forget that it's home office, it's an office. What are we not taking advantage of in our home office? My office, and again, I'm a foodie, so my office is all about the food. The most important thing in my office is where are we going to lunch today? I mean, really, if you ask my staff, that's my most important thing. I come in and at about 10 o'clock we start asking that question. But the home office, again, it's an office. Every office has coffee and juice and snacks and all that stuff. Are you writing that off? I don't know. It's not much. Okay, $10 a day, $50 a week, 50 weeks a year, that's $2,500. For anybody that's making any money, $2,500 deduction turns into $1,000+ in tax savings money in your pocket. That's not going to change your lifestyle dramatically, but again, it's a nice weekend away with your spouse that can change your life. It's the ability to pay for something your children want to do. So it's important. You can also use your home office to write off your collection. I don't know, maybe you collect baseball bobbleheads. I don't know what it is. Antiques, whatever. If they're in your home office, now that money that you're spending becomes tax deductible. It's a business expense for your office, just like the chair and the desk and all that. Again, legally, if you display it in your office. That's how you use your home office. But more importantly, you can use your home office to show your children how you work, your integrity, your work ethic, things of that nature. Contracts. Let's talk about contracts. We don't need a contract. We're all Christians here. Our word should be our bond. We've never been taken advantage of by somebody that says they're a Christian business owner or a Christian client. We don't need a contract, right? Trust me. I see people smiling. And then the smile goes to anger. Because yes, they have been wronged by Christian business owners. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, I don't want to do business with a Christian because I expect the integrity and the service to be a little bit higher, and I've been disappointed in the past. My gosh, that hurts me. That is something I look at and say, that's sad. If the Christian community has that, I don't know, reputation, what does that say about us as Christians, as us as a business community? I want everybody, when they talk about me, to, if nothing else, to say he dealt with me fairly. Yeah, his prices might be too high. His timing might not fit my timing, things of that nature. But I don't want him to ever to say he was not honest and integrity with me. He did not do what he said he was going to do. And that's the definition of integrity. People say it's honesty and all that. No, integrity means doing what you say you're going to do. You say you're going to deliver something on Friday, it better be delivered on Friday. That type of thing. But let's look at Nehemiah 9:38. It reads, and yet for all this we make a sure covenant and write it, and our princes, our Levites, and our priests seal unto it. Or Jeremiah 32:10 says, and I ascribed the deed, and this is regarding buying a piece of property, and sealed it, and called witnesses, and weighed the money in the balance. Meaning I paid the fair price for it. The Bible says it's okay to have a contract. More than it's okay, it's biblical to have a contract. And when you hear somebody say, we don't need a contract, trust me, write it down. Write it down. I have a joke about that. And I don't know if it's appropriate to tell this joke, but I will anyways. An older couple goes to the doctor. And again, I'm a CPA, so this joke might not be funny to some of you. Couple goes to the doctor, they're having a little trouble with remembering things. And the doctor says, well, just write it down. If it's something important, write it down. So they're watching TV and the wife gets up and says, I'm going to get some ice cream. And the husband says, hey, that sounds great. Will you get me some too? She said, yes. I said, well, okay, write it down. Honey, it's ice cream, I got it. She's walking in and he says, you want some nuts on that? Oh yeah, nuts sound great. Write it down. Honey, ice cream, nuts, I got it. And he calls into the kitchen as she's walking and she says, will you put chocolate on that? Got it. Write it down. Come on. It's ice cream, nuts, and chocolate. I got it. So she's in the kitchen, pots are banging and stuff, and pretty soon she walks out and she's got a plate of bacon and eggs. And he looks at her and he goes, where's the toast? Okay. There you go. That's as funny as it gets, guys. Like I said, I'm a CPA. The contract reminds people what they said and what they meant and what is acceptable and what is unacceptable. Some people are in a business where contracts are not the norm or necessary. But if you're in that type of a business, absolutely get a contract. It's biblical. It protects you. It allows you not to have John the Baptist's head on a platter, I guess. Okay. This is my favorite tax deduction to talk about because, like I said, I'm a foodie. We're going to talk about meals and entertainment. What the IRS says you can write off. Everybody knows that you can write off a business meal, but what's the definition of a business meal? According to the IRS, a business meal has to be with somebody that's a current client or a potential client, a current vendor or a potential vendor, or the one that I love, the catch-all, somebody that's going to be able to refer you business. Okay. Tell me somebody that you eat with that you're willing to pay for that meal that doesn't fall into one of those categories. I asked an auditor this, and he sat there for a few minutes and kind of hemmed and hawed and said, well, your mom. I went, whoa, time out. Mom's probably a customer. If nothing else, she should refer me business. I mean, unless I've made her really mad and she doesn't trust me or whatever. The point being is, pretty much any meal you eat with somebody else is deductible. If you have a meal with yourself, it's not deductible. It's also kind of sad. But a meal with somebody else that you pay for is deductible. Again, depending on what you do. Yes?
What about someone that's a coworker? You take your coworker out for, or an employee. I mean, I'm the owner and I take my employee out for...
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
Save that for later, but
Okay.
yes?
What about your kids?
What about your kids? Are your kids employees? Ah. Are they referral source? Can they refer you?
I mean, I guess technically they could.
I hope they do.
I mean, they're in high school, so
Okay.
they're friends.
Do they not know anybody that has parents? Okay. I'm picking on you because okay. The short answer is yes. The long answer is I'll explain how that happens. The point being is if you take somebody out, it's all in the documentation. How do you document it? How do you take advantage of that? But the IRS rules also say that if you have a business meeting or a business meal, 24 hours prior or 24 hours after, any entertainment that encompasses that person is deductible. Okay, let's blow this out of the water. I go out to dinner with my wife, who is a shareholder in my companies, or one of my companies, whatever. That is a business associate. She falls into the referral source, but she's also an integral part of my business. We talk about marketing, we talk about pricing, we talk about all that stuff. So to answer your question, yes. To answer your question, your child, yes. So we go out to dinner. That's a business meeting. Then we go out to the movies within 24 hours, either before or after, with the same person that you took to the business meeting, the business meal. The IRS code says that's entertainment, tax deductible. How many of you are writing that type of thing off? Probably nobody. That's how we take and make our life tax deductible. Again, tax code, section 162 says ordinary necessary business expense, 100%. Yes, David?
What if you're W-2'd?
If you're W-2'd, a little bit different situation. If you're W-2, can it fall into an unreimbursed business expense? On a Form 2106, business expenses flows through to your Schedule A, subject to 2%. I'm losing people. Sorry, I do this every day. But yes, to answer your question, yes, it's deductible. There's some income limitations on that, but it is if it's not reimbursed. Yes, ma'am.
At 100% or at 50%?
50%. 50%, yes. Thank you for answering that. The IRS says that meals are deductible 50%. However, there's a way to get meals deducted 100%. Of course. But the point being is very, very few people are writing off the entertainment. That's making your life tax deductible. I'm not saying spend money that you're not already planning on spending, but if you're spending it, why not make it tax deductible? Absolutely, 100% legitimate, 100% legal. She asked about writing off 100% of your meals. If the purpose of the event, for instance this, the food is 100% deductible because the purpose of the meeting is not the food. Purpose of going out to dinner with somebody is the food. I mean, it's a business meeting. The IRS specifically says it's 50% deductible. But let's think about this again. What about when you host somebody at your house? Is that a business meeting? Again, are they one of those 5 people? Probably. I hope so. I mean, if you invite somebody to your house, they might not currently be a referral source, but they should be. They could be. Can you write off that food that you're entertaining at home? How many do? Very few. It's all in the documentation. Okay. Again, that's one of my favorite deductions because I tell people, look, I'm going to save you thousands of dollars on your taxes. You got to do some documentation. It's all legal. It's 100% legitimate. Here's how to do it. Are you diligent enough to keep those records? Do you keep the receipt from the meal. You go out to a restaurant, you've got to write who you met with and what was the business purpose. For me, it's easy. I met with Joe Smith and we talked about taxes. There you go. Whatever it is in your business. And again, if you're a W-2 employee, like David asked, it's a non-reimbursed employee business expense, subject to 2% of your adjusted gross income. So if you make $100,000, the first $2,000 of that is not deductible, but everything above that is. And I don't know what your lifestyle is. My wife and I go out to dinner probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 times a week. I always eat lunch out except during tax season. So we eat out a lot, and they're all business meals, all deductible. Okay. I want to challenge you with a few things. In your life, in your business, I want to talk about budgeting. This is a huge area that I deal with constantly. Business budgeting and personal budgeting. I get a lot of business from a couple attorneys that are bankruptcy attorneys, people filing bankruptcy. What does the Bible say about bankruptcy? It's allowed every 7 years, debts are forgiven, things of that nature. It's not a bad thing necessarily. But if it's a lifestyle that every 7 years you file bankruptcy because you overextended yourself, that's not what the Bible is intended for bankruptcy. So budgeting is very important. Luke 14:28 through 30. For which of you, desiring to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it? Least when he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all that behold begin to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Budgeting is very important. Home budgeting, business budgeting, all of it. Because again, bankruptcy should not be a lifestyle. It should be a situation where something happened out of your control and you put it in. Okay. What about fair pricing? And what does that mean? Leviticus 25:14, and if thou sell to thy neighbor or buy of thy neighbor's hand, you shall not wrong one another. What does that mean? Does that mean I know somebody makes a lot of money, so I charge a little bit more for the tax return because I know they can afford it? Where is that in your business? How do you price? I price my service on return ROI, return on investment. If I save somebody $10,000 on taxes, what do I charge them? As a CPA, I can't charge based on a percentage of savings. So I charge for time, I charge for a little bit of all that combined. What is it for you? Do you bill on time? Are you honest with that time? I hate to pick on attorneys, and I hope if there's any attorney I'm not offending you, but I was talking to an attorney about pricing and about how they bill clients. And he said if he does research for one client, but that research can apply to a number of clients, he bills those other clients for that research. I don't think it's integrity. I don't think it's right. Matter of fact, he says when I'm in the car driving and I'm thinking about a client, I bill him for that time. Again, I don't think that's right. I do a lot of research for individual clients, and of course that research can apply to numbers of clients. You can't bill all those clients for that research. Absolutely not. But that's the integrity. That's how do you justify what you do. Fair pricing. I want to talk about an issue that might step on some toes here. Really tough issue. 1 Timothy 5:8 says, but if any provide not for their own, and specifically his own household, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Let's bring that into real time, what's happening today. Child support. This is something I deal with a lot. Businesses that are paying their employee under the table because there's a garnishment on him, and if they paid him a W-2, they would have to take out that child support payment that he's behind on. That's huge. How many of us are doing that, paying under the table for that? Or doing it ourselves, getting paid under the table for that, and paying people under the table for whatever reason. That's huge, folks. That's something that I deal with on a daily basis. Businesses coming in and saying, you know, I got some employees, how do I pay them? Are they independent contractors or employees? I want them to be independent contractors because then I don't have to take taxes out. Where do they really fall into that category? This is integrity, folks. This is what we have to deal with. Yes, it's a little more expensive, but it's the law, and it's the way that you should run your business. Again, I don't want to step on toes, but I want to challenge you to run your business as a good, solid Christian business that you can be proud of. We're not going to be in business forever. We're going to sell our business and walk away. Maybe give it to our family, maybe sell it, maybe merge with somebody, whatever your exit strategy is. Every single business, 100%, and I do a lot of business mergers, acquisitions, and analyzing businesses that somebody wants to buy or sell. 100% of the businesses that I've seen bought and sold are telling the buyer, this is not really what it makes. The real income is higher. Okay, let's sit back and think about that. Your tax return says this, but you're telling me your sales are really higher. You're willing to lie to the government, but I'm supposed to believe you that these numbers are right. You're not going to lie to me. Why would you have any incentive? Because I'm going to pay you more for your business if the sales are this high? 100% of the businesses that I've done that with, that I've analyzed, I'm not saying my clients, but I've analyzed for my clients that they want to buy, or somebody selling a business, and I'd look at the financials. I look at them both. Usually from my clients are buying a business, I look at the financials and see what it is. 100% of them. And almost every CPA I've talked to has the same statistics. How do you justify the employee that's not on the books, but I want to take an expense for it? I want to tell you that you're going to buy my business. Really, it's worth this. How do we justify that, folks? That's where your heart comes in. That's where honoring God comes in. And that same principle, you can't live your life one way at work and another way at home. You can't shortcut the law. You can't shortcut ethics at work, but be completely honest at home. You just can't do that. Your life. And what type of message are you giving your children? And again, I'm all about my children. That's why I do what I do, is my kids, and now my granddaughter, which she's in Philadelphia, which is a whole nother story. But what are you showing your kids? Whatever you say to your kids, they might hear and listen and take it. But what you do, your kids see that. That's what they understand. When you tell somebody, don't answer the phone, it's a bill collector, tell them I'm not here, what does that say? It's okay to lie if it's an uncomfortable situation. Again, I want to leave you with that. I want to answer any questions you have. I'll be available afterwards for a while. I've got an appointment at 11, so I got to get back to my office a little bit before that. But I'll answer any tax questions you have. Answer any questions, any personal questions. I'll tell you, my life's an open book. I'll tell you all about it. And again, if you could pray for TJ, I would really appreciate it.